Hey everyone. Today we're going to go through the process of adding in lots of data into OnPing all at the same time. Specifically how to write to multiple parameters at the same time using our mass writes tool. So I've already made this mass writes panel, but the first thing you need in order to do mass writes is a mass writes widget. So I'm going to click Edit Dashboard and add a widget to this panel. Click Add here under Data Entry for mass write, and then save the widget. Now I can exit Edit Dashboard, refresh, and my widget stays. So looking at this, you'll notice some familiar words and some unfamiliar words. So import a CSV or an XLSX source. So that's going to be either a CSV, comma separated values, or an Excel spreadsheet. There's support for both things. Today we're going to be importing from a CSV. And then this is probably a little less familiar, import DAL source. So DAL is a configuration language, something like YAML or TOML or JSON. But we like it because it has a few fancy features that we use a lot here at Plow. But you're probably not super familiar with it, but there's good support for it if you're using a text editor like Visual Studio Code, and it doesn't take a long time to learn. So let's get started. So what does this file need to look like? What does this file need to look like? That's sort of what this video is going to be about. So basically, you make a CSV file that contains the data you want to import. I'm going to use numbers to do this, but obviously you could use Excel. So you click on a table and give it a few headings. So in my case, I'll make it, value 1, value 2, and then location 1, just to keep it small and easy. And then we're going to write, we'll write a 13 to value 1 and an 11 to value 2. And then let's go ahead and save that as mass writes example. Place it. And then export to CSV. Same name. Okay. So what I just did there is I made a comma separated value list that I can use to import the data. And basically, just an overview of the process, we have to pick the correct row and column for each of these values, and then we pick a parameter ID to write those values to. So now I have this, now I need to pick a parameter ID. So let's go back to OnPing real fast. I'll look at my event table example here. So one question is, where do you find parameter IDs? So one place you can always find a parameter ID is by going to any event table or custom table. And then if that parameter that you're trying to write is in the table, you can click Edit Table. Let me back up just a minute. You can click on the wrench here, and then click Edit Table Config, and then click PID, and then save. And the PID will show up above the value. So I've got a 550968 and a 425129. So those are going to be the two values I write to. So that covers pretty much all of what we need to do. Now the question is, how do you do it with the DAL file? We have a helpful example in our support documents under mass writes. So I type mass, and it's this mass write devices in OnPing. You can see there's a lot that's said here, and I encourage you to read through it sometime. If you have any questions about it, feel free to email us at support@plowtech.net. But what I'm here to get is this little sample code snippet. Now I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it into Visual Studio Code. New file. And I'm going to call it mass writes example.dal. And I'm going to put that in the same documents folder that I have everything else in place. And let me paste this little example snippet in. Okay, so basically what I do here is I make a list of the, let's make this name make a little more sense to people, so we'll call it write to value. And basically what write to value is a function that takes 3 arguments, a CSV row, a CSV column, and a PID. So in our case, we can look at our spreadsheet again. So our CSV row was row 2. Our CSV column was column 2. So let's go back to Visual Studio Code, write to value row 2, column 2. And then let's see, what was the PID number again? Let's go take a look. $550,968. Go back to Visual Studio Code. 550,968. All right, so that's going to write to this value from here. There's only one detail left. Notice that this is calling out a particular spreadsheet. Now, that's very useful if you're writing from Excel documents, because you might have multiple sheets and you need to declare which one you're writing from. But of course, we aren't doing that. We're doing a CSV. So ours is going to be none text. And this just means that this value is going to be blank. All right, so let me go ahead and save. Oh, I guess I already saved. And I think I'm ready to actually do this right. So let's go back to our mass writes, choose file. I'll choose the CSV we made. Choose a DAL file. Again, the DAL file we made. And click upload. And notice here that it shows what the current value was and then what the new value will be. So let's see, it says a 13. So let's go back and look at our sheet just to make sure that that was what we were expecting. And it was. Okay, so I could go ahead and write this, but this is just writing one value. So before we do that, actually, I'm going to cancel. And we're going to go ahead and show where the real power here lies. So instead of just writing one value, I'm going to go ahead and do this. Put a comma in here, write to value. And now it's going to be row 2 again, but column 3. And I'm going to write to a different parameter in OnPing. Specifically, our partner here, 425129. Back to Visual Studio Code, 425129. And then save. And then let's go back to our mass write sheet. Choose this file again. Choose this file again. Upload. Oh, now I'm writing to 2 different values. There are settings in order for you to change the time, so you can write into the history or into the future. And then look, these are obviously 2 different places that I'm writing, so you can write to multiple different places at the same time. And you can write even thousands of parameters at the same time. So a lot of flexibility and a lot of user power. So I'm going to go ahead and execute this right. And success, success. Let's look here. 13 and 11 worked beautifully. So there's a lot more to mass writes, but that's a lot to get you started with. And if you have any questions, again, contact our support team. We'll be glad to help you.